Like,
There you go. There we go.
all right, we're ready to go. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, let's try again. Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, April 11th, 2024, and this is the regular City Council meeting of the City of Fraser. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Ms. Green, you can call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bransky. Mayor Lessig.
Here.
Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Thornett.
Present.
Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
Present.
Ms. Levin, did you hear anything from Amy about whether she had made it in? Okay,
She
then,
landed, she's just, I don't know that she'll be late, period.
okay, then we'll just, if she doesn't make it, we'll excuse her at the end of the meeting, so. All right, thank you very much. City Manager, did you? Okay, that was it? Okay. All right, item number 4, approval of the agenda. Any changes, adds, deletions to the agenda, or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
A second it?
Okay, motion by Councilmember Odell, seconded by Councilmember Stein to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I'll say aye as well. Agenda is approved. Okay, item number 5, citizen participation on agenda items. This is the portion of the meeting, if you can't make it to the item on the agenda under new business, you can come up right now and talk about that agenda item at this time for up to 5 minutes. Anyone like to speak? All right, seeing none, I would close that. Item number 6, consent agenda. Any changes to the consent agenda, or I would entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
All right, motion to approve the consent agenda made by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, seconded by Councilmember Odell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Consent agenda is passed. Item number 7, new business. I'll just take a quick moment here. We're going to be discussing the budget presentation, and then we will have 3 public hearings. And so the city manager will be presenting her budget in a brief format. We will be having a budget workshop next week, and we may be changing that date tonight, so we don't know exactly which date it is, but we will be having that next week, where we're going to do a deep dive on the department level. Then we will have 3 public hearings, and in the 3 public hearings, there will not be a specific time limit. In the past, I've been the one that said there is no specific time limit for public hearings, and I'm going to stick to that. I would say if you have, if you need to go 6, 7, 8 minutes, that's fine. If you need to go 20, please contact the city manager. I think we can sit down and answer a lot of your questions one-on-one. So with that, let's go to item 7A. City Manager Levin.
Great. All right, thank you. So just to let everyone know, the budget process through our charter, I am required as the Chief Administrative Officer of the city to provide a recommended budget to City Council. I work with all of the department heads in preparing this. This is something that we've been working on really since January, and my budgets were due from departments in March, and then we start working through that. I work through the process of taking a look at all of the items, taking a look department-based and fund-based at what fund balances are, what requests are for items, and kind of work our way together through all of that process to prepare what I think is a workable budget for the city. And then the next step, we obviously have the public hearings. We get feedback from the public as to what their thoughts are on the budget, what they either like or don't like about it, what they'd like to see in it, what they'd like to see omitted. And then we work with council to further refine that budget and either add, take away items, address any issues that they might have with the budget process. Ultimately, our meeting in May, we should have a budget that is approvable. We're required to have a budget approved by mid-May. absolutely no later than the end of June per the state guidelines. Just to let you know a little bit about how the budget is structured. We have a number of funds, and within those funds, there are departments. We have primary funds are our general fund, our streets fund, ambulance, rubbish collection, senior housing, water sewer, motor pool, and self-insurance funds. So these are our primary funds that we deal with. As far as the projected tax revenues, we have a line item for those projected tax revenues. I do have an update for that number. This year, things are being done a little bit differently, and now the state is doing things differently for the veterans exemptions. And after I put together my recommended budget, we did get some numbers from assessing. So the revenues would be about 91,000 reduced for those tax, for the veterans exemptions. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. As far as the millage rate, there is a millage reduction fraction. So every year the state looks at communities and determines where we are plus or minus for what our taxable value should be. So our millage reduction fraction this year is going to be 0.9887. So based on everything that we collect, we get like 98, 99% of what it would be. So just a very minor reduction for that. As far as the PA 33 millage rate, I have kept that steady at 2 mills. This year is going to be a little bit interesting with our public safety because we worked with all of our unions to be able to move forward with 12-hour shifts. So right now our public safety is on 8-hour shifts, so going to 12-hour shifts, it's going to be a little bit different. I anticipate that there might be some unexpected things happening with this change, so keeping the millage at 2 mills, I think is probably a good way to just make sure that we are in a good position with that fund. I've maintained the rates for the water and sewer charges. We are going through the process of doing a utility rate study. We, at the, I believe it was last meeting, approved a company to do our utility rate study. That'll probably take, I think, 6 to 8 weeks to complete. The information that we get from them will really help determine where we are with our water and sewer rates and if there is need to make any changes from that perspective. Taking a look at the budget, there are a lot of items in it that are contractually obligated. So thinking about all of the wages from the perspective of all of our unions, and also when we're talking about pensions, taxes, those kinds of things, they are really all set by those contracts or by state taxes, tax code, any number of things. And then also, there are a lot of other contractual items that we have. I provided a spreadsheet of many of our numerous contracts that we have with agencies such as utilities, our IT services, our assessing services. So these are contracts that we have that we really don't have a lot of discretionary movement on what those numbers are. So there really is a lot in the budget that is already set year after year. This year I project with my recommended budget that we'll have about $5,000 excess in the general fund, so this would be 500,000, yeah. I was like, what did I say, 5,000? 5,000, I was
Pretty tight management, I can tell you.
Yeah, 500,000. So the last couple years, our recommended budget, we were using some of the fund balance. I think that there are some greater opportunities that council as a whole really needs to address what we are going to do with some of this fund balance. We have some serious issues that we need to deal with roads. We've been dealing with the industrial sub that they have about $20 million worth of road projects that are road repairs that are needed, and we're just trying to find a funding mechanism for that. We also have a master plan for our parks and recreation that we've been looking at. We've been making a lot of improvements with our parks recently. We have talked about making a lot of improvements in Steffens Park. There are a lot of things that are, from a perspective, just need to be repaired, but possibly taking a step back, looking at it from a greater perspective, and maybe thinking about making some changes instead of maybe just repairs is something to potentially consider. That's certainly something when we get into the budget workshops, or even tonight, talking about really discussing what direction do we maybe want to go in with that. Similar to last year, I've included a lot of notes throughout the budget. BSNA, which is the software that we use for all of our financials in the city, is a very powerful tool, and one of the great things about it is that we are able to put notes in there. So I include notes every year so that there is no question what we are doing with some of these budgeted funds, in particular the capital outlay line items. I have each of those line items pretty much specifically spelled out so that I think everybody has a good idea from the perspective of working on this recommended budget, working through to an approved budget, and throughout the entire year, everybody has that really as their template for what we planned on, what we are doing, what was approved, and where to expense it. As I mentioned, there are a lot of things that are fixed already, so with the wages and costs. With the unions, we have a number of wage increases based on all of the contracts we have. We have actually 5 union contracts that we have to deal with. We have a number of non-union staff, and I am recommending a 2.25% increase in non-union staff, which is in line with our lowest union increase, and then additional increase for our DPS director. I've included the wage spreadsheet that shows all of our employees and really what their complete wage package is for everyone's information so that they really know how these numbers are put together and really what department and everything's coming from, and a good look at what the changes are. We are planning on maintaining the 29 sworn officers and 6 firefighter paramedics. This budget includes 2 new full-time positions for firefighter EMT. This is something that we approved at the last meeting as part of adding a second advanced life support unit for our public safety. This will hopefully be self-sufficient. That's, I think, another reason why it would be a benefit to the community. So we have had a lot of calls that other entities have helped us with, so this is something that we will be more self-sufficient with this unit. Other new positions include a deputy clerk, so our clerk is kind of going to be taking a step back and kind of retiring, but she was still interested in staying with the city on a part-time basis, so looking to separate out that deputy clerk position, make that a part-time position. Also looking to create a DPW crew leader position, which would be in lieu of filling a vacant position that they have right now. This would give them a little bit more flexibility when it comes to having someone really out in the field that can help have oversight with people that are working on jobs on site. There's also an additional part-time recreation employee. At this point in time, we have one person over at the Senior Activity Center that is part-time and a full-time recreation coordinator. Adding this part-time position helps give us a little bit more hours and availability over at the Senior Activity Center, helps give us someone and more staffing for filling in for sick time or people that want to take vacations. Unfortunately, we've had discussions about the Senior Activity Center, the limitations with the building. That's where when we had, I think, about 6 or 10 full-time people in Parks and Recreation, that was where they sat. So with that building being exclusive only to Senior Activity Center, we can't have regular parks employees working over there. So that, I think, is another issue that we're going to need to really talk about as council about what kind of decisions we might want to do moving forward to help grow the parks program. I know Chris has done a phenomenal job at just the growth since he's been here. Hasn't even been here a year, and we've already seen a lot of stuff happening with Parks and Rec. We're getting a lot more activities and things going on. We've got sports coming back, so we're working on building that up. We're working on getting the courts, the baseball fields as well, cleaned up, operational, but everything takes time, money, resources, so it's not something that we can just change everything overnight. As much as that would be great if we could do that. So there's still some big things that we need to deal with from that perspective. One of the things that I have also done with this budget is split out the HR from the city manager. When we first brought on an HR person, we just put that person in under city manager. Staying consistent with the chart of accounts, I wanted to separate that out. We are actually going to be having a part-time HR person starting on Monday, so very excited about that. Another thing that I have done, working with Ange Lee, our finance director, assistant city manager, is to create transfer in and out accounts for our motor pool, self-insurance, and administrative cross charges. So this is something that we were deficient in and had to do a corrective action report to the state because we were underfunded. And one of the main reasons of that is that these administrative transfers had not been done for a couple of years. So we're making sure that it is more apparent so that we will not be missing this in the future. So that's hopefully going to be something that will make things a little bit easier for everyone. They don't have to worry about, is there enough funding in professional services for what I need to do, or has the administrative charges been done or not? We are certainly getting in a much better position with our financial department. So in the memo, I had mentioned that we had a late filing for 2 years. It's actually been the last 4 years that we have had late filings. Things are certainly looking a lot more favorable this year. We have been moved up a month in the auditor's time schedule for when they come out and start working and preparing our audits. We have a request tonight for getting a part-time person to help out with some of the auditing stuff, and this is just a temporary position. We have had someone, and we just want to really kind of formalize this role. It will still be a consultant, it won't be an employee. But as I mentioned, it will be temporary, and we're hoping that with this staffing, that this will allow Ange Lee to get through all of the new processes and learning that she needs to do for city government to be able to have a good path for getting everything in a timely manner. Our street repairs, I've kind of talked a little bit about that, is that, we're working on the industrial, we need to come up with a plan, we have some money, but we have also some very big projects that are coming down the pipeline for us that are going to be utilizing a lot of our fund balance. First and foremost is the big Garfield Road improvement. This is from 14 to 15 mile, and this is actually going to be happening this year. So a very big project that's utilizing a lot of our funding. There's another project that we are getting federal funding for that will be done in, I think, the summer of '26, and that's Klein Road. So we've got a lot of road projects. Road funding is very scarce, and projects are very expensive. So certainly that's something, working through a capital improvement plan, which I hope that we will have more capital improvement plans available for you by the budget workshop so that we can take a look at those and really kind of start looking at more detail for future planning for those. So in March of 2024 is when council authorized the implementation of the additional ALS ambulance unit. So we've budgeted for this new ambulance and also for those two firefighter EMT positions. The rubbish collection fund is something that we've talked about recently, about how there is a fund balance in there. In my in my memo, I mentioned that we collect a reduced rate of 1.4 mils. It's not a reduced rate from last year. It's the same as what we have charged last year. When the millage was originally passed, it was passed for 3 mils. So we have been down to 1.4 mills, and that's what I am leaving it at this year as well. We have had a lot of discussion about leaf collection in the city and how it is a very labor-intensive process, and that the equipment that we have is outdated. And one of the things that we looked at is what can we do about getting a new mechanism for doing the leaf collection. So in the rubbish fund, we do have the capital purchase of a piece of equipment where one person can operate as opposed to taking 3 staff members from DPW to operate. This would certainly help reduce some of the staffing problems that they have in Public Works. We're going to be continuing to replace HVAC units at the senior housing. They're really kind of at the end of their useful life, and I think we're on the 2nd year of the program for that. This year, we're certainly making some more improvements there with, hopefully, I think tonight we have the windows replacements, and hopefully we'll get approval for that, and we can continue to move forward with making that senior housing a great place to live and good for the residents. As I mentioned, we are contracting with an agency for a utility rate study. Pending those results, we're leaving the rates the same as what they are right now. In the future, we likely will be discussing that when we get the utility rate study and seeing where we are with the rates on that. There are a lot of water main replacements that are planned in this budget, as well as a new backhoe that's replacing some outdated existing equipment. As far as motor pool and self-insurance, we are planning on maintaining a minimum balance of $100,000 in each of those funds, so we don't get in a position where we go in a negative balance and have to have a corrective action report. Certainly with a new finance director at the helm, I think we're going to be on top of that and doing budget amendments to ensure that we don't have those issues again. The self-insurance fund, we actually pay for self-insurance directly instead of paying for health insurance plans and people going through the health insurance with all of their finances and everything. With us being a small community, it is still more reasonable for us to be self-funded. We have worked with our benefits provider and talked to him about what the best option is, and we are still in a position where self-funding is the right choice. Other than that, that is kind of my summary of what the budget is. I've included information about the organizational chart, our contracts, the wages spreadsheet, and then also a spreadsheet of our capital projects for this year. Capital projects, I think the original ask was about 11 million, and I think I've got it down to 10.5 million. So we've done a little bit of work on this budget, and certainly looking forward to working with council and hearing from the public to see what they think about the budget so far.
Okay, that was a lot. Thank you. All right, any member of council would like to ask any questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
So I had a few things that I jotted down, and I don't know that you necessarily need to answer for them or solve for them today, but when we get to the budget workshops, they're just definitely things that stood out in my mind, or I had a visceral reaction to them. One, the first one was the 2.25% rate increase for all department heads, other than Sam, and non-union employees. I'm just interested in how you got to that number and what plays a role in that, because where I come from, performance appraisals and documentation like that play a big role, and it's not a blanket increase. So I'd just like to know, where that number comes from and why it would be given in such a manner. The org chart, it's very high level. I was wondering if we could possibly get a more comprehensive org chart that has the head count and even potentially the position titles under each person in the org chart. And if we could have that before the workshop, or maybe at least the next council meeting, that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, it's a good start, I think, for sure. Some of the capital expenditures that I would like more information on for the workshop. One is the $615,000 budgeted for Steffens. So that was I had a reaction to that number. $20,000 for blanky bench swings. I think we talked about this already a couple of times over the last year, so I was interested to see that back on there, especially for that amount. $175,000 for a backhoe. $350,000 for, I don't know what the proper name for it is. I'm going to call it a leaf vacuum. And then $50,000 for a stump grinder. Those were just ones, those were some big numbers that based on our conversations, I just would really like some more information on those.
And-
I'm done.
Okay. All right, anyone else would like to speak on this at all? No? Okay. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll have many questions next week,
You're
of course, too.
welcome.
I agree on the capital improvements and the equipment. I'd like to know more about what we're doing, why we're buying it, and really go through those things, make sure we're making a good choice with the right bucket of money and the right, serving the public with the right solutions, so.
And then as part of that, like bids, right? Like what are we doing to look for, are those like retail prices? Is there like a Carvana for, a leaf vacuum machine?
They're all
Yeah.
estimates.
Right, so, okay.
Okay, very good. No other comments from council, so with that, I would then move to item 7B, the public hearing for the fiscal year 24-25 budgets and millage rates. Again, there will be no formal time limit, but if you need to talk for 20 minutes, maybe give us a call and we can sit down with you and answer more questions. So with that, it is now 6:57, and I open the public hearing for the fiscal year 24-25 budgets and millage rates. Anyone would like to speak on this? Okay. Seeing no one in the public, I will close the public hearing at 6:57:19. And we move to item 7C, the public hearing on the water and sewer rates. As the city manager mentioned, there is no projected or recommended changes at this time for the water and sewer rates, but we will open a public hearing at, we'll go with 6:58. Anyone like to speak on the water and sewer rates at the moment? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:58. Thank you. Item number 7D, yes. Public hearing, public safety PA 33 millage rate. That is proposed to be, well, it can be no more than 2 mills this year. But I will open the public hearing, we'll call it 6:58. Anyone from the public would like to speak about the Public Act 33 millage rate? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing at 6:58. All right, that's it. And later on tonight's meeting, we're going to determine exactly when that workshop will be. It is scheduled for the 18th, but one of our members can't make it, so we're trying to see if we can work out an alternate date where everyone here can be there. Item 7E, Tree City USA Arbor Day Resolution. This is something that we've done every year. We are city manager would like to speak on this?
Sure.
you go.
We are a Tree City USA, and as part of that, we need to pass a resolution proclaiming Arbor Day. We're looking at April 26, 2024. We have a department that maintains our trees. We have a tree ordinance. We spend at least $2 per capita on urban forestry and celebrate Arbor Day. So just looking for an approval for this official proclamation for Tree City USA and Arbor Day.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation of April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Fraser.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Shornack.
No, that was just because I was.
Okay, all right,
Didn't
motion.
know if we were using lights again or not, so.
All right, and then motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, seconded by Councilmember Shornack to proclaim April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Fraser and commit to the 4 standards of the Arbor Foundation, maintaining a tree board, having a community tree ordinance, spending at least $2 per capita on urban forestry, and celebrating Arbor Day. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 7E, Senior Activity Center Parking Lot Restoration. City Manager.
We went out to bids for the Senior Activity Center parking lot resurfacing. The lowest bidder was Peak Asphalt in the amount of $196,291.50. AEW has reviewed this bid and is recommending approval, along with a 10% contingency of $19,600 and administrative oversight of the project at estimated $29,400. Looking for an approval for an estimated amount of $245,291.50.
Okay, Councilmember Shornack.
I just want to make sure, because I was looking at the other numbers that were showing like we had a deficit in the senior housing, and since it's a standalone
This
fund.
is Senior Activity Center.
Oh, okay, that comes, okay. Okay. Didn't we just redo that, like, seriously, like 3 or 4 years ago?
So a front portion was redone, and this is just going to be a slight overlay for that front portion. The rest of it is very deteriorated,
I
and
know.
it's redoing the underlayment part. and
As part of the sinkhole repair, the
foundation
county
of it, yeah.
resurfaced the front.
Oh, okay. I knew it was done
Yeah,
like, a
just
few
the
years
front.
ago, that's why I was like, why are we doing it again?
Just a very small portion of the front there, so we'll just be doing just a little bit of the top layer of that front portion, but then
So are they-
hauling the rest of it.
So are they gonna do like the grind down and then the top, Mike?
He was nodding yes.
All right, so, okay, I just want to make sure that,
I have a question, so.
yeah, Mike, you're in the hot seat.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you have any questions for him?
Well, no, he shook his head yes, so I just
Okay.
want to make sure we're not
just-
just,
Yeah, the front portion is just going to get a single grind down in one layer. The back 2/3 that's in the worst shape is going to go all the way down to gravel and
That-
grade the gravel and then back up with 2 courses.
okay.
That was my question, because it is rather unlevel, and the catch basins have sunk, and so we're going to bring all of that parking lot up to what it should be.
Yes, and we've also included a lot of the concrete repairs in the area. I know when we did City Hall parking lot, we kind of just did the asphalt part of it. We are including concrete with the activity center parking lot. So a lot of the deteriorated curbs and driveway are going to get addressed as part of this project as well.
Okay. And it'll be all ADA compliant and as fully accessible as possible.
Yes.
All right, so you did answer my question. We are taking it right down to the gravel and redoing everything.
Correct.
Including the storm drainage.
Storm drainage is going to remain as is.
Okay, but as long as it's okay.
Right, we'll address any of the catch basins and things like
Okay.
that.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Odell.
When was this, if approved, when are we scheduled to do this work?
The contract completion date is the end of May, so the contractor's anxious to get started. They, one of the caveats of the contract is they have to do it in 3 phases so that we maintain access. So they're gonna come in and do 3 phases for the parking lot in the next month and a half.
Senior Activity Center will be open in one shape or form, or have access one shape or form while it's undergoing.
Yeah, at least one of the 2 driveways will be open at all times, and then during one of the phases, both driveways will be open, and we're gonna stage it such that there will always be access to one of the parking areas.
Would you like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the asphalt resurfacing at the senior activities parking lot for the amount of $196,291.50, and then with the 10% of $19,600.
And then,
And the engineering fees.
And the engine.
Oh, and the engineering, so yeah, okay, so the total of $2,400, I'm sorry, $2,000. Oh my God, $200,045, $291.50, yes, I'm having a day.
okay. All right. So we have a motion by Councilmember Shornack, seconded by Councilmember Baranski to approve a contract to Peak Asphalt for the resurfacing of the senior activities parking lot. Any members of the audience and citizens like to comment on this? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, get that parking lot fixed. Thank you. Find my agenda. Did you have something?
For the next thing.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Moving along, so.
That's fine, great. Item 7G, senior housing window replacement.
I'll let Mike just do the summary.
Thank
Unless
you.
you want me to.
No, you can, I'll let you start.
Okay, I'll start. So we received bids for the windows replacement at senior housing. The lowest bidder was Meridian Contracting Group in the amount of $144,755. AEW has once again reviewed this and is recommending approval, along with a contingency of 15% at $21,000 and contract administration of $10,000 for that. We did budget $125,000 in our budget for the windows, so this is a little bit over that. The capital item, we're not over yet, but it may require a budget amendment in the future.
Okay, Councilmember Shornack.
Okay, so this would have actually been from the other one too, but, so for this, it is coming out of the enterprise fund, correct? For the senior housing, that's number one. Number two, what kind of warranty are we getting on these windows? Because you know how I have a thing about warranties.
It is the manufacturer's warranty that will get transferred to the city upon completion,
Which is?
the standard warranty. I don't-
Is it a stinking one-year warranty?
Well, you're going to
Why
have
do we do that in America? Here's your one-year warranty that this crap will last you 1 year, but we're going to pay a fortune for it, and it's only going to last a year.
You're going to have the maintenance and guarantee bond from the contractor in addition to the warranty for the windows that the manufacturer is going to offer.
But is there's like a 1 year, or is it like Wallside, that's a lifetime? What kind of warranty is it?
I do not know. It's pellets, the same doors that were, it was the same material as the doors that were installed at the same facility just 2 years ago.
And what was that warranty? Was that a year?
I think it was 3 years.
This is what's wrong with our country. I'm just going to say. Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Baranski.
Yeah, so this will then result in all of the windows at the senior apartment being brand new within the last 3 years, is that correct?
Correct. The doors were all replaced, I believe it was about 3 years ago.
Door walls?
The door walls, and these will be the windows in all of the units and all of the other exterior windows at the end of the hallways and things like
Okay.
that. So I think we had 117 in our count. The contractors all reviewed the project on site, and we verified with them that they had the same count in their bid.
I would like to make a motion to approve the award of a contract for the senior housing window replacement for the amount stated in the packet.
Second.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Odell had a question or comment.
She answered, her question was what I was going to answer. That was completing everything. And last couple of years, weren't the balconies all refurbished and
That's correct.
replaced? And so the exteriors, parking lot, and everything's after this has pretty much been completely updated, right?
Yeah, a lot of it has. I don't think the siding's been done. The roof was done a couple of years ago as part of an insurance claim, I believe. But yeah, the exterior of the building is pretty well,
Was fixed or replaced completely?
I believe it was replaced completely.
Roof was replaced completely.
Yeah, they had to. It was really messed up.
Hopefully, we shouldn't have to put a ton of money, at least on the outside. I'm sure there's always issues on the inside, but that was my question. So besides replacing all the windows, so. And is that sliding glass windows too for going out onto the decks? Were those replaced?
Yes, those were already replaced.
Those are, okay.
Yep, so this is the window, it's the same series, same manufacturer, so everything's gonna match. They're the sliding double hung windows that are there right now, so it's the, I guess, same product.
Double pane?
Pellets
Double
has a
pane.
limited lifetime warranty, but I don't know how limited. But.
Don't get me started.
All right, thank you.
The warranty generally expires the day before you need it.
That's right, that's right.
Don't put me back on my.
No, I'm kidding. All right. Any other questions from council members? All right, anyone from the audience would like to speak on the senior activity or senior housing window replacement? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Baranski, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, to approve the contract with Meridian Contracting Group in the amount of $175,755. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The motion approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
7H, Klein Road Resurfacing Engineering Proposal.
All right, I'll do a quick summary of this. So Klein Road is a project that we have federal funding that's been approved through the Surface Transportation Program. This is Klein Road between Utica and Garfield Road. This project is $368,000, and the federal funding covers almost 82%. So our 18% match is estimated to be about a little over 100,000. This is a project that would be completed in summer of 2026. So we've got the schedule that we'll be starting doing the designing engineering, and then working our way through that process until construction ultimately, as I mentioned, in the summer of 2026. So for this, what we're looking for is an approval for the AEW agreement for the engineering services. At this point in time, it would require a budget amendment for $20,000 in the current fiscal year, so that we can start moving forward on this and stay on the schedule with the federal funding.
Okay. The letter says it would start in 2025, is that?
Yeah, I did note that there was a discrepancy in the schedule for that. It would be 2025
Okay.
at this time. So we would look to prepare all the engineering documents. There's quite a lengthy lead time in the process for from the time you start till MDOT issues the bid package for this. So we would look to have bids in hand by this time next year for construction to start in 2025. That was
Okay.
an error that I had made in the letter.
Well, that's even better, so. Better. All right, Councilmember Baranski had a question.
Yep, so Klein Road between Utica and Garfield, right? How much distance is that? I'm using this for later, because that's a tiny little area, right? Mm-hmm. And it's almost $500,000 to do it, right?
That's correct.
I'm 100% in favor of it, like kudos, we are doing that area for 18% of our taxpayers' dollars. It's a no-brainer for me. But I just was curious, what's the length of that? Because that's a great visual for people to understand how expensive the roads are and that it's only going up.
Yeah, I think it's about a third of a mile.
A third of a mile, and what are we doing there? Are we,
So the scope of the project is going to be a resurfacing, a heavy rehabilitation. We'll probably take the asphalt surface down and put it back pretty much to the same grade it's at. There will be ADA upgrades, guardrail upgrades, signing upgrades that are all required as part of that work.
and so it's just asphalt,
Just asphalt.
and it's no sewers or anything like that?
That's correct.
$500,000 for a third of a mile. I'm in favor, and I'll make a motion to approve the engineering expenses as outlined in the packet. Thank you for the information.
Return my light.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Odell, you had a question.
Yeah, quick question. So Klein Road's not a city or county road, correct? It's a,
It is a city road. There are certain roads in the city that are eligible for federal aid. Not all the roads in the city are eligible for federal aid. This is one of them that is eligible for federal aid.
okay. And for future roads that are eligible for, because obviously if we can get 80% of the roads done on certain ones, I mean, are there other roads that identify that we can go after this federal money to
Yeah.
help do more with less?
There are, I guess, 3 roads in the city that are eligible for federal aid that are under city jurisdiction, right? The rest of them are either county or state. So the 3 city roads that are eligible for federal aid are Masonic, east city limits to west city limits, Klein from Utica to 15 Mile Road, which part of it was done 2 years ago, and part of it will be done in 2 years or a year and a half. And then the other road is Mulvey, from 14 Mile Road all the way to Garfield. This county federal aid committee is actually getting ready for their next call for projects. So we would potentially look to submit any segments of those for consideration by the federal aid committee in the next round of funding, which takes you through 2030.
Because Mulvey's not in the best shape either, right?
No, it's not. You're right. It's a competitive process. They score all the roads. A lot of factors include traffic volumes and safety issues. They do try to provide some funding to all agencies that submit if there is some funding available. So That was how the city received the funding for this section of Klein. It, wasn't the worst road in the county, but as Fraser did submit, there was some room available for this one. So yeah, we typically do provide an application. We understand that there are changes forthcoming that would require city council approval or resolutions to support all of the future submittals. So we don't get into a situation where the bill comes due and the city says, well, that was a different city council or something like that. So there have been issues like that in the past. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
So I just wanted to ask, so hearing that about Mulvey and knowing that we're going to be reconstructing Garfield this year, is that something then that we are going to try to get ahead of, is reconstructing Mulvey, maybe at least from Utica to Garfield, where it's going to connect with Garfield, so that would all be new? Because that area right at Mulvey and Garfield is, I think that's included in the Garfield project, but I'm just saying, just to make it whole, so it's not kind of like a situation that I know Patrice is passionate about with Masonic, where that one area, right, wasn't redone. So to have it just done in totality.
Yeah, I think last time we did submit that segment of Mulvey for consideration as well, and it wasn't selected amongst all the applications. I would presume that both of those segments of Mulvey would be applications in the next round for funding consideration.
Okay.
But those projects are like 2027 to 2030 timeframe is what we'd be looking at.
Okay, of specific, and you're the third person to bring that up to me, as far as Mulvey and Garfield, where the two meet right now, that's pretty bad. That will be fixed as part of the Garfield reconstruction.
I believe at least to the westerly right-of-way line of Garfield, which is essentially where the sidewalk is. I believe that amount would be.
That was what was presented
Yes.
when
Okay.
we had talked about the cost sharing.
Yeah, I just want him to say it out loud on TV. So. Well, I've had people actually specifically target that. That's their one thing. I think they live in the apartments over there. So, the best of your knowledge, you're going to clean that up there. And
Yes.
okay, Councilmember Baranski.
Yeah, just briefly on segueing onto Mulvey. Does it increase the odds if we throw in a sidewalk project? Because the federal government loves sidewalks and bike lanes. Keep that in your mind as you're packaging Mulvey.
Yes. Understood.
So we.
I mean, they do. They
No.
love making it walkable, and that's a huge, you could connect, the city from end to end by putting a
To
sidewalk.
Blanky.
Yeah. So I just am, trying to cross-purpose and meet different needs with the federal government money whenever possible.
The road funding that I spoke of earlier, the County Federal Aid Committee really likes to keep that to the roads, and then they'll support any of the transportation alternative grant applications if you're looking for non-motorized paths.
Okay, thank you.
I'm asking on a couple of possibilities through SEMCOG if we can get some planning or get those transportation alternative grants. So always on my mind. All right. All right. Council all good? Any member of the public would like to speak on the, okay, council?
No, you're good. Go. You're fine.
Anyone from the public like to speak about resurfacing Klein? Seeing none, I would,
I was just going to make the motion.
I thought we
Sorry, made.
had one.
Already for this one? Okay.
Yes. All right. Okay, motion by Councilmember Baranski, seconded by Councilmember Stein to approve the engineering design for $20,000. That's what we're approving tonight, correct? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have it. Thank you very much. All right, 7I, DPW fuel pump replacement.
This project is something that has been needed for a number of years. This is a proposal from Phoenix Environmental to replace the fuel pumps, not the underground fuel tanks, but the fuel pumps at DPW. The bid amount is $276,500, and looking for a motion to approve that, along with the contingency of $27,600 and administrative services in the amount of $10,000. This will require a budget amendment as well.
Okay, Councilmember Shornack.
We did replace those underground tanks, though, relatively recently, right? Like in the last 5 years? Like 5, 7?
Yeah.
5 to 7 years, yeah. Okay, I remember doing something with that, so at that time, we didn't replace the pumps.
I wanted to say maybe 2017. We just had to look that up as.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know it wasn't super, super long ago, but I knew we did it, okay. And this will be like the concrete around it and everything as well, correct?
Correct. This will be a new concrete fuel island, the canopy over top of it. I think Mark would probably speak a lot more on these, all the things that come along with it, but the fuel management system, I think, is the key part of this.
I saw the pictures, so I'm assuming that's, Mark, that's the pictures? That's what it is? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland. Oh, hold on, City Manager has something.
I just had one concern about the documents that I saw from them, the canopy, talking about the length and the width, but I didn't see any mention about the height. And we need to make sure that it's high enough for the fire trucks to get under.
We did clarify that in the bid document, so they are aware of that requirement. They're going to have to submit shop drawings that'll be reviewed and approved before anything is constructed.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
So when I was looking at this proposal in the packet, that is a lot of money, and just knowing our current budgetary constraints and the amount of work that we need to do on the roads and seeing the canopy and the LED lights and things like that, is there any alternative to where we could get this down to just the fuel pumps? Or it seems a bit extravagant to me. I would love to hear what the rest of council has to think, but this just seems like a lot, knowing all of the other things that we're trying to accomplish in the city right now.
Okay. Councilmember O'Donnell.
My question about the pumps, so do all city vehicles use this pump for the police cars, the fire trucks? Everybody uses this. They have their own code, that way it's being properly accounted for, who's spending money, where?
I think Mr. Ragsdale would probably be the
Yeah,
best person to
I'm
answer
just-
this question.
I want to educate myself, and I think probably some people in the city would want to know as well.
Good evening. So yes, these fuel pumps are used by every city vehicle within the city. Councilwoman Southern, you asked about the canopy over the top. That canopy is protecting your asset. The pumps, one of the reasons why your pumps look like they do now is because they're sitting out in the elements with no protection over the top of them. Currently, there used to be an old fuel management system, but it's been broken ever since I've been here. You should be able to tell what employee got the fuel, how much fuel they got, and how many miles were on the vehicle when they get the fuel. With the new fuel management system, you'll be able to do that.
So you're not currently tracking that?
No, there's no way of tracking it because the fuel management system doesn't work. But at least we have automated gates now where the public can't just come in and steal gas from the island.
Happening?
What's that?
Is that happening?
I couldn't tell you if it was or not because I got no way of telling.
Be mindful of saying that,
Right.
right? If you don't have,
Right, but I mean, prior to us getting the automated gates, the DPW yard was wide open to anybody can just pull in and you can just turn on the pump and pump gas. But with a proper fuel management system, we'll take our key fobs like we have right here. There'll be one on the key ring for the vehicle that represents what vehicle it is, and then either the employee will either use their key fob or they will have to punch in a 4-digit code to get the fuel, in addition to typing in the mileage of the vehicle, so you know if somebody was to ever be stealing gas, because there would be a red flag that would go off that say, wait a minute, you're driving a F-150 and it only holds 30 gallons. How did you put 60 gallons in a truck that only holds 30 gallons? And I'm just using that as an example, right?
So is there any like video surveillance on
Oh, yeah.
that currently? So,
Yes,
I mean,
there
'cause,
is.
That is a
But
concern for me.
somebody would have to tip you off, though, to say, hey, we think Patrick was coming in and stealing gas, on
You have
this
to keep
day
that-
or
you
whatever.
can- Someone's keeping track, like as department head, you keep track of employees, what they're purchasing. With the new fuel system that we'll have, you'll be able to say, hey, so-and-so spent this much money, and it's only for city vehicles, correct?
Correct.
Nobody's putting in their personal cars.
They wouldn't be able to, because to activate the system, you have to have the key tab for that vehicle.
Okay.
I mean, is this like the Cadillac version of replacing the fuel pumps, though?
No.
Are there other levels that we could look into?
No, we put that out for bid, with the scope of work for a fuel management system, and this is middle of the road fuel management system. They have some that are higher tech than this, I mean, but, and the prices have went up. You know, ever since COVID, everything has shot up. But the company that is, we are recommending the bid, when I worked at Great Lakes Water Authority, they did do ours there as well. And they did a great job.
Councilmember Brands.
Currently, we have one pump.
We have two, one is gas and one is diesel.
Okay, and so with the new system, we'll have the same thing, one gas, one diesel. And having been here when it was wide open access, not to the residents necessarily, but there was no one tracking, and this, although it costs a lot, prevents potential future abuse, and also then gives us data points when we're looking at needs for equipment or manpower or things like that. I'm assuming because
Absolutely.
because it's electronic, we can generate reports and say, this vehicle did this many miles over this much time frame, as opposed to requiring someone to pen to paper it, if that makes sense. So there's multiple uses that we can use the data from this, is where I'm going, like, you know, look at this car's only being used a third of the year, as opposed to, does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I mean, I hear you, but what I'm hearing is right now also that you're saying it should be tracked, even with our current mechanism for tracking the fuel.
No,
You said should.
meaning it should be like any place you work that has vehicles, you should be tracking that. We can't do that because the system is broke.
So you're telling me there is nothing you can do right now to track
Correct.
what?
Correct.
Could manually do it.
Yeah, you could I mean,
You could write in a
there's
notebook.
something.
I guess you could manually write down, but, I mean, if
You could have a check and balance, you could have manual record, you could do something. There's nothing you can do, is what I'm saying.
okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm referring to mechanically, you're referring
Talking
to,
about just tracking to reduce risk in general.
that's still not, I mean,
That doesn't cost almost $300,000.
you could do that with a paper and pen, right? But if you do that with a paper and pen, how do you know somebody's not fudging the numbers? Exactly.
Nothing.
I guess that's your opinion. I don't necessarily agree with that, because if somebody's doing it with a paper and pen, they can easily just change the numbers, or how do I know that they're telling the truth? Not to say that they wouldn't.
Person, another set of eyes, and audit, there's things. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that just, this, to me, this amount, knowing the other things that we need, seems a little bit premature. Not on board.
My second question, how old are the pumps that we have? They're like 25-plus years old.
Oh, they're
original.
oh, yeah, yeah,
40-plus years old.
I would say.
Having seen them, they're pretty, I think, you know, when the thing across the street was a gas station, those pumps were newer than that. So although the cost is a lot, I do, having been through the prior 4 years I do support it.
Okay, Councilmember Odell.
So with the fuel management system set in place, we pay roughly $1,900 a year to upkeep that, so they keep up that equipment, like if it needs repair or it needs to be replaced down the road, does that cover, do we know, does that cover?
That was the software.
Repair on the road, you lost me.
Okay, so it says for a fuel management system, like you said, the cards, so we keep track who's putting money in there and all that. Is that computerized system, is that included in, if it needs to be repaired down the road, it malfunctions, anything like that? Do we know, is it covered under like some sort of warranty or whatnot? So
Yes.
lose that ability to keep track of everything?
Yes, there, do you have the specs on the warranty? Yes, there is a warranty on the fuel management system, and there's also, they will supply training for, when we're up and running with the system.
It is expensive in my view, but I think it is necessary. I think it's a cost savings measure, and I think everything that we do here at a city level should be, everything from the accounting systems that we have in place. There should be checks and balances. This is kind of forces that by having that. So with that, I will make the motion to award the contract for the DPW fuel pump replacement system as outlined in the packet.
Second.
Okay.
Can we take a roll call
We haven't voted yet.
when we're there?
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure. I'll just add my 2 cents, because this is actually the second time this has come up. In 2016, there was a plan for replacing the fuel management system. So that's how long it's been not working. And during that period of time, we were pretty financially strapped, very financially strapped. And as part of our budget negotiations that year, we actually eliminated that as a capital improvement, which was, I thought was a bad idea, and I fought against it, but we did not do that. So it's been 8 years since we've actively and accurately measured any usage. Now, I will say, from nothing to an electronic system, there is a manual process in between, which is better than nothing. But,
I think it needs to be replaced.
yeah, and I,
Or not maybe this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
well, all I can tell you is that we had, I think it was Fuel Man we might have had before. I don't know for sure which one it was.
I think it's Gas Boy.
Gas Boy, that was the one, yes. Gas Boy.
and
But it frustrated me then, because there were no checks and balances on that, because the equipment was not working 8 years ago. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyone from the audience would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I would entertain a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bransky? Yes. Mayor Lustig?
Yes.
Councilmember Odell?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Shornick?
Yes.
Councilmember Stein? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland?
No.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. All right. And when will that be installed, Mr. Ragsdale? Any idea what time?
We'll get the contracts going right away, but we do understand that there is a little bit of lead time to get all the parts in place for this.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Item number 7J, assessing contract. You folks want to come up? It's your turn. This is the current assessing services contract with Assessment Administration Services, expires in 2024. I'll do this one. I like these people. We have a proposed 3-year contract. No, I started talking, it's very brief, so. Anything you'd like to add? Can you tell us what they do for the city?
So, Assessment Administration Services does our assessing, which is a required function for municipalities. Every year, they take a look at least 20% of the properties and evaluate it. They manage the Board of Review. They take care of all the property transfers for people to move to the community, change hands of property. They deal with all of the assessing functions of the city. We've been contracting with them since 2015, and we've had a very good working relationship with them, looking to continue that for another 3-year contract. I think I might have had the wrong amount on here, so I guess if, sorry, $124,800 for the first year, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, just looking for a motion to approve the contracting services.
Anything you'd like to add?
Just, we've enjoyed our relationship with City of Fraser since 2015. Debbie's the assessor. She is a Michigan Master Assessing Officer. It's required as a advanced assessing officer, so she's she has higher certification than that. She could probably maybe give you a little bit more synopsis. If you'd like.
And you are? Your name for the record.
My name is Lisa Griffin, and I'm the owner of Assessment Administration Services. And way back in 2015, I was in the office.
She was here for the 1 year, and then
Yeah.
I came with the company, and I've been here since then for now 8 years. I've signed all the assessment roles. We do a lot more than Elaine just kind of summarized.
You got to put the microphone.
Oh, sorry,
in your-
yes, yeah, we do a lot more work in the 2 days that we are here. There's 2 of us here on Tuesday, there's 3 of us here on Thursdays every week. And we administrate all the IFTs, the poverty exemptions, the veteran exemptions. We do all the building permits, any projects that people pull permits for, we go out on and appraise, add value. We do the personal property canvas. We maintain the assessment roll. We work with the finance department on the tax settlement, which we just completed. We administrate the board of reviews. I know Ken was on our board of review for quite a while, and we're missing him, but we have a new member now. So, yeah, so we do all the required things that we're supposed to do according to the state. We did have an AMAR review, which is an audit of our assessing requirements, and we passed that. And we will be having another one in the next year or 2.
Maybe 2 years, I think.
But we're always doing everything we need to do to be able to pass that review anyway. So, yeah, so we enjoy working here and appreciate all the support that we get. So we would request that you guys approve our contract.
Okay. Councilmember Odell.
I am going to make that motion, but just so the residents know, because you're kind of an outsourced service for the city, but what type of hours? Because people will be like, I want to talk about what my assessment is, especially when they buy a house, it gets reassessed and they think they're going to get taxes at a certain amount and it jumps up because the house is reassessed. But what type of hours do you keep at the city?
The normal city hours.
Normal city, you have somebody here all week?
No, on Tuesday.
No, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's because, okay.
Yes,
So
there's
the
2
rest.
of us on Tuesday and there's 3 of us on Thursday.
Okay, all day during city hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well, if we go out in the field.
Right.
or- Yeah.
But I mean, there's a presence at least
Oh, yeah.
2 days a week on there.
Yes.
All right. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Assessment Administrative Services for assessing services beginning May 1st, 24 through April 30th, 27 as submitted.
Second. All right. I would like to say that I think when we talk about outsourcing services, you guys have really, you have the gold standard in my eyes. You've always answered every question I've ever had. You've done a great job for the city. I think Ken can attest to the professionalism of your organization.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing. He hasn't quit that. He didn't quit that works.
No, they were great.
No, I think you're an example of when it works, so.
Thank you.
Any member of the public would like to speak on the Assessment Administration Services contract extension? Seeing none, I would, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Congratulations, thank you, and continue serving our city. Appreciate it. All right, item 7K, Civic Plus Full Service Supplemental Agreement. Ms. Levin.
We contract with Civic Plus to provide online presence for our ordinances. They are the firm that we use when we make any changes to our ordinances. We send it to them. They compile everything. They digitize, well, I guess it's kind of already digitized, but put it in a format, cross-check everything with our references, and post it all online for us, provide supplemental material. One of the things that Civic Plus is now going to be offering is something called Full Service Supplementation Subscription. So instead of paying really individually for every single ordinance page that we do throughout the year, this is really a one flat fee to be able to take care of that service. So thinking about it, maximizing really our efficiencies. We have a couple huge things coming down the pipeline that are going to be pretty costly. So first and foremost, the Planning Commission has been working on the sign ordinance, which is very comprehensive. It will be a lot of pages. In my recommended budget, I have us doing a update of our complete zoning ordinance, which is a extensive amount of pages and a project that would take multi-years. And I would like to thank Lauren, our planner through McKenna, who procured a grant for us in the amount of $45,000 to cover the bulk of the cost for the zoning ordinance update. So thank her for that. So hopefully we will be having a lot of pages coming down the pipeline for this process. So going to this full service subscription would be a cost savings benefit. So looking for approval to go to this full service supplement subscription service.
Okay, Councilmember Sutherland, or Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, apologize.
Looking at the cost savings behind this and the math, it just makes sense. So I'll make the motion to approve Civic Plus Full Service Supplementation Agreement as proposed.
Okay. I did have one question. You mentioned a 25% discount, but if we do the math on that, it's not actually 25% of the 3185? Can you just double check and see if? It's actually lower. It's like 2389.
25.
If you do 25% of 3185, it's 23.
I know when Cindy had spoke to them, they mentioned that they would give us a discount, so they approached us rather late. This is something that should have been approved by May 1st.
Okay.
But we didn't even really have conversations about it until much later. We didn't know if we were even going to be able to get this on the agenda, and obviously considering approval, so they were willing to give us a discount for the first year
Okay.
to hopefully get us on board with this.
Yeah, I noticed there were some credits through the end of this year too, kind of overlapping, so.
I don't know, are the numbers specific, or was it the 25% that was specific?
She said 25%, and I think you're referring to the overlap because we pay for 12 months at a time on something, and this will just be through 10 months of it. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, well, I did the math and it was a little lower, that's all, $100, but, anyway, I think this is a good deal. And so where we would be paying a per page to add to that is now a flat fee, no matter how many pages. Okay, and that, it is a huge savings because the per page was going up to $22 per page, so that's huge. All right, any member of the public that would like to speak about the Civic Plus Full Service Supplemental Agreement? Seeing none, I would, any council members have any questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. 7L, part-time assistant accountant position.
I mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about the budget discussion, that we have had a consultant that's been helping us through the staffing changes that we've had and the shortcomings that we've had with the audit, the time issues, the level of knowledge based on staff. So this is a proposal that Angela, our finance director, put together to bring on a assistant accountant to help really through not quite a full year, but to be able to help get us through the audit process for this time so that we can make sure that processes in the future go faster and smoother and on time. One thing about this, it's not a permanent employee, it's just a temporary approval that we're looking for a professional through a consulting firm. The wage range that we are looking at is approximately $33.50 per hour for 29 hours. And like I said, this is to get us through this audit, which we should have completed by, I would say, November.
And you're asking for is this a budget amendment of $6,500? Does that cover the full cost of that person? Because that seems a little low.
That would be through the rest of this fiscal year.
Okay.
And then this is something that we'll have to work it into the budget for the next fiscal year. I have not included this position in the recommended budget that I prepared for tonight's meeting.
So would we need a budget amendment secondary to this approval?
Yes.
Okay, because I think you asked for one earlier and we didn't do it. We didn't do a specific budget amendment.
I thought she said we didn't need to do it, we might need to do it later in the year.
Okay, I just want to
new
make
budget
sure.
year.
I didn't want to hold it.
Yeah, talking about some of the other items that we've done, some of the projects, the parking lot improvements we've done have come in under budget. The one tonight's a little over what we budgeted, so when we get through these projects and all the bills and everything come in, we'll have a better idea where we are if we need a budget amendment for those
Okay.
other projects.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
I just had some questions. So in the summary of request, it says temporary, and that's what you said also, right? That we would be going through like a temp agency or something like that to fill the position?
Yep, a professional consultant.
Okay, so, but the recommended motion says motion to approve posting assistant accountant job description at the recommended wage range. It does not say temporary. So I would suggest that if we are going to approve this as temporary, that the motion should be to approve the temporary position.
Certainly.
The posting looks, it looks like a regular city posting.
And this will be something that will be going out to consulting firms.
Okay. I didn't see in there where it said temporary, though.
We will make sure and get it added.
Okay.
It's a term to end no later than the end of the fiscal year or the completion of the budget.
So then I would make a motion to approve posting a temporary assistant accountant job description at the recommended wage range with also the caveat, and help me out, Don, if I'm going to need to say this differently, that the posting would also be amended to include that the position is temporary through the date range that you had suggested.
Okay. I had lights, but no more lights, okay. So you made the motion?
Yep.
You seconded the motion? All right. All right. Any other questions from council? Okay. I know that when the auditor was here, he said we're on the right path, but we're not done yet. So this, I think, bolsters our finance department to get us ready for the audit and gives Anjali some assistance, knowledgeable assistance to get things done and in the right. Yes, you're nodding your head? Yes. All right. Any member of the public would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up. All in favor of posting a temporary assistant accounting position at the recommended or wage range? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, item 7M, smart driver wage rate. Ms. Levin.
We, since COVID, have only had one smart bus driver, and unfortunately, our driver has had a medical condition, and his return date is unknown. We have been having DPW drive that bus at, I would say, higher union wage rates, and we spoke with one of our previous bus drivers, and he is willing to come in and do the job at $17 an hour. I think that seems like a pretty fair wage. I know that we raised it recently from $14.09 to $15. I think that was last October. So looking to get approval to raise that pay rate to $17 an hour. Otherwise, it will take some time, and we will put the job out for advertisement to fill.
Who is doing it right now?
DPW staff?
Okay, at a higher rate.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Shornack, I believe you were first.
Yep, I was just going to make the motion to approve the $17 an hour for the smart bus driver. I think that's a fair wage, and our residents need to be driven to their appointments and such.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
I was going to say, in the last year, we raised the rate for part-time DPW as well as the crossing guards to 20. Why aren't we just making this 20 to be consistent across the board? I know it sounds crazy because I was talking about saving money earlier. I understand. Believe me, this is not lost on me.
Coming
but-
out of your pocket.
But I mean,
Horrible at negotiating.
I'm just saying.
I winked at her, everyone.
To me, that's fair and consistent.
But do we get
with
reimbursed
what
from
we've been
SMART?
doing. I don't know. Do we?
Yeah, so that's, I think there's,
We get some of that reimbursed, yeah.
Fine with that, too. So I will amend my motion to $20 an hour.
You're welcome, whoever gets it.
Okay, let's just recap that. Motion made by Councilmember Shornack to increase the smart bus driver wage rate to $20 an hour, and that was seconded by Councilmember Stein. Any other member of council would like to speak on this matter? Any member of the audience would like to speak on this matter of raising the smart bus driver wage rate from $15 to $20 an hour?
I would just like to recommend a backup for you. A retired Fraser school bus driver, Bobby Parisi, is looking for a part-time job. She just quit her nursing home, so she might be a great contact for you. And she's certified and can do all inspections on buses, so
Okay.
I will give you her phone number before we leave.
Great, thank you. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 7N, City Clerk Hiring Committee.
So at the last meeting, we were thrown with a curveball that Cindy is stepping away from the full-time position, fortunately willing to stay on board and help us in a part-time capacity, should we be able to work things out with that. One of the things that I talked to her about is the process when we hired her. Talking about that, at the time, we had a subcommittee of council, and looking to go through that process again. I'm recommending 3 members from council, or I should say up to 3 members from council to conduct interviews along with myself and the clerk to put together a recommendation for council for approval. We do have a number of applicants, and several of those are fully qualified, which I am very excited about. So looking to move forward and schedule interviews very quickly, hopefully next week or the week after.
I'll do it, and I'm sure Amy's in too.
Wow, I have daggers.
I'm happy to allow anyone, I did have the honor and privilege of being on the committee.
Yes.
And interviewing our current clerk as she was on her lunch and in her car. And it was kismet, and she was so frazzled, but I could see through that. But if no one else wants it, I'm happy to do it, but I'm happy to let someone else take the lead.
I was just throwing Amy under the bus because I wanted her to shoot the daggers at me, but I will do it. I do.
I'll volunteer. We need 3? 2? Well, we need at least
Up to
2.
3.
Yeah, up to 3. So if no one else, we can do 2.
I'm real busy on the water subcommittee.
You're underwater on it. Yes.
I'm kidding.
So does that mean you're
You wanna do it, Kenny
volunteering?
Perry Jr.?
If you want me on there, I'll be on it.
Yep, I think that's good.
This is a matter of volunteering yourself. We
Yeah.
don't
You've
only
been
Dana
voluntold.
volunteers.
and
Okay.
you're doing it.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
There you go.
So I would make a motion to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, myself, and Mr. Perry to be on the city clerk hiring committee.
Second.
Any member of the public like to speak on this? Bring it back. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have our committee. Yes, did it?
I missed who supported that motion. Thank you,
Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
thank you.
I'll be talking to him later. So, all right. All right, item 7O, budget workshop date.
So we were originally looking at next Thursday, the 18th, for the workshop date. I understand that we have some issues with availability, and one of the dates we're considering is Tuesday, the 16th. So just looking to see availability and interest to change that date. I have talked to department heads about this. Most everyone seems available. Director of Public Safety would not be available, so she could send someone else in lieu of her attendance. If there are questions and things that arise that that person would not be able to answer, certainly we'll still have more time and opportunity to get those issues addressed.
Are we planning on doing all of the department heads that night? Okay, so it's.
Yeah, we were able to accomplish that last
Do our
year.
best.
We just have a lot of new people, so there's a lot more questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
I just want to say this is my fault. So thank you all for considering this. This is the Fraser Marching Band and Fraser Singers will be in Florida performing, and I will be there supporting them. So I appreciate you guys potentially moving this. It's my fault. Thanks.
And we're looking at it.
At what time?
6:30.
In council chambers here?
Yes.
This is-
And
That's
it will
fine
be
with me.
televised, yes. But it'll be a workshop
Workshop?
format.
Yeah,
Yes, which is more conversational between us and the department heads.
absolutely.
And there will be an opportunity for citizen participation at the end, so. So it's 16th at 6:30? Does that work
Fine
for
with me.
everyone? Okay.
Thank you.
Someone want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to move the budgeting meeting to Tuesday, 4/16 at 6:30 in council chambers.
Second.
I'll, s-
Oh,
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, you,
no, do it, dude.
I'll second it.
All right.
I muted her. You can okay. Mr. Perry seconded that, for the record.
Now that he's on two committees, look out, world. Here he comes.
All right. All right. Any member of the public like to speak on this? Seeing none, motion made by Councilmember Stein, seconded by Councilmember Perry to change the budget workshop date to April 16th at 6:30. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting date changed. Thank you. Thank you all for being accommodating. All right, item number 8, returning business. Nothing from you. Okay. Item number 9, report of the city administration.
The park bathrooms, if they are not already open, should be open by the weekend. So thank you, DPW, for taking care of that. Working with our recreation coordinator, we're looking to schedule a park cleanup probably sometime mid-May. I think looking maybe Saturday, the 11th. Still working on details of that, so watch out for more information coming soon on that. Big Bounce, we are still finalizing things with them. At one point in time, I think they were looking at maybe getting the one weekend back that they were looking at over 3 weekends, or adding a weekend at the end. I don't think that they are going to be doing that anymore, so I think it's just the 2 weekends. So we're still working through with them. The contract has been fully reviewed multiple times by Don and myself and them, so it's finally done and moving forward. I did get a call from a representative from Sheetz, and they are planning on having an open house at Lions Club Thursday, April 25th,
At what
5:30 to 7:30. They are going to be doing a mailing to the neighboring properties, so that everyone should be at least aware of what's going on in their vicinity. I don't have anything finalized, but that is the date that they are working on, so that more than likely will be when it is. Airport Winsome, the water main project that they were working on at Airport Winsome and Spring Court, they seem to still have shortfalls when it comes to the grass. I guess now they are doing some soil tests to find out what is deficient and what is the problem. AEW has not accepted the project as complete yet, so they are still on top of that and working on that, and hopefully we'll get some better results with the grass growing there soon. That is all that I have for now.
Any questions? Councilmember Baranski.
Yeah, library update?
So we have the carpet ordered. That's one of the last items to be done. I think the painting should be completed soon on the inside wall. So we're definitely nearing completion. It's definitely going to be done before the end of the fiscal year. Last I spoke with Lorena, the director, it sounded like they were planning on coming to council at some point in time before the end of the fiscal year, and I thought that they were getting an extension where they're at for a certain time period. I'm not sure. You guys might know a little bit more about that than I have.
Have we had any communication about finalizing the purchase agreement?
So we are waiting until all of the repairs are done. I have talked to Lorena about that we have really the final step for the agreement is doing the walkthrough.
Right.
But they're not willing, or at least last time I talked to her, they weren't willing or ready to do that walkthrough until after all of the work was completed.
So when, just because we have budget issues with this building, obviously, because if they're not coming back, we have to do something with that building, maintain it, sell it, do something else with it. When is the carpet going to be here? I mean, do we know? Like, this is taking a really long time.
Maybe have a time frame on that?
Punch list.
A couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those big delays was that there was work on a wall that had been done in there. It was just done by the city. There were no permits. We couldn't find any records. So we had to go through the process to really rebuild that internal wall. And that was one of the things that took a long time and set us back.
Okay.
So I just did the final walkthrough today and approved the payment for the contractor that has been doing all the work. So we've had a checklist, an ongoing checklist that we keep adding things to that they didn't do or forget or whatever. So that was all completed today. There was one little area that was not part of the scope of work. It was the closet. And once we painted the new wall that was put up in the interior wall, you didn't realize it, but it made the closet look bad. So we had leftover paint. So I sent one of the DPW guys there today, and they painted the closet and everything. So everything looks good. The carpet has been ordered. I just called and talked to him today, and he said he would try to get back with me tomorrow with a date on when the carpet was in, but he's hoping next week. But that doesn't mean that's when they're going to install it, but he's hoping to get it in by next week. I mean, get the
Going to
carpet.
install it, someone else, not?
Yes. Trying to think of the name of the company.
New look?
No, Shook Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Shock Brothers. Thank you. Shock Brothers. Yes.
And has I don't know if this is the right term, but like a certificate of occupancy been issued such that you don't need carpet to move in? Is it structurally been approved by whoever needs to approve it that the building could be used?
So each thing that was done, a permit was pulled through the building, a no-charge permit was pulled through
Right.
the building department, and all those have passed, everything has passed the inspections. It was,
So is there a process such that, I know it's weird for us to get our own C of O, but
Yeah.
I just feel like let's just get it to stop the further delays. This is just like one thing after another, so does that make sense? Paper it, so then there's no issues. That'd be my request.
We'll make sure the building department gets through there and make sure that everything is clear and ready to move forward.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. Any idea when we'd have the sign ordinance come back?
That's a good question. It's really come a long way, and the work has been incredible that's been done by planning commission, and my office on it. This month, I believe they're working on the final, how should we call it, piece? But that doesn't mean that the other pieces are done. It just means they've gone through the other pieces as we had laid them out in the proposed calendar. So the last piece is going to be discussed, reviewed. Then it comes back, unless there's one more topic because of the last piece, it'll come back to the planning office to take the first shot at drafting what the planning commission has in concept blessed. Once that is done, then my office will do a detailed review for internal inconsistencies, legalities, language changes. Once that is done, it will go back to planning commission for a lengthy, go through the whole thing now, guys, and if they need to do it in parts, they will. They'll go through that and give it a blessing or give us some direction before they can bless it. And then it comes back to you once we have some product that they have blessed. So that long answer suggests to you that knowing how they only meet once a month, if I were to give you a conservative guess, probably late summer. If I were to give you an ambitious guess, probably June or July. But that's just a guess based on how the wheels of government turn. There was a meeting, I think, that they couldn't discuss it for unforeseen reasons. I think there was a death in the family of somebody. So there's times like that could come up too, but that's a conservative to optimistic to ambitious guess.
Somewhere this year.
Somewhere this year for sure, yes.
One last question. I don't know if you have redevelopment-ready communities. Are the state still doing those? And will we someday? That was a goal several years ago. But
I know that they had initially come out with the program, and there were a lot of communities that jumped on board and never fulfilled the full requirements of it. So there was just a primary requirement of really just acknowledging some of the things that you should do that got you that step that you had to be able to get grants. They got a lot of feedback from communities about how difficult the program is, how unfriendly it is, how it doesn't necessarily hit the mark for what they're trying to achieve. Revamped the program. I have not had really any revisiting of that program since they've revamped it. It all depends on if that's something that we want to spend our resources on trying to achieve.
Are they still doing the crowdfunding grants through the MEDC like they were?
I believe they are.
So can we find out what the minimum requirements for that is so we can add that to our available avenues of revenue?
Resources for money.
Yeah. Oh, no, we've done crowdfunding before, and we've been quite successful. If we can get a $50,000 grant from the state and have it, and we do it and they match, that's money. So I would like to see if we can become minimally qualified for at least that portion of it. So. All right, thank you very much. Let's see. What's report of mayor and city council. Let's start with council member Stein. I said Stein.
Yeah, what's the short? I don't have much. There's a couple things. I just want to give some good luck to some Fraser High School students that are going to Grand Rapids this weekend for Skills USA to compete for states. So I just want to give them good luck. Also, I know our children are going to Orlando, and so are the Fraser Singers Marching Band for competition next week. So just to kind of give them good luck, and hopefully come home with some awards, which we will.
Great.
And that's about all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Baranski. We're just mixing it up.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Councilmember Perry.
Nothing at this time.
Councilmember Shornack.
I have several things.
Great.
So the VFW is having a tree planting memorial. It is for the veterans who have committed suicide as a remembrance. It is on April 20th at 3 p.m. So definitely something to get out there and support. The KFC on Kelly is in the Fraser Roseville. Fraser Roseville maybe. I don't know, it's for sure Fraser. But anyway, KFC is having a spaghetti dinner fundraiser on April 21st from 2 to 6. The kids' meals are $6. The adults are $12. It looks like a pretty good selection. It's Italian because it is spaghetti dinner, but should be good. I'm going. And then the Historical Commission is having their open house on May 5th from 1 to 4. They have a lot of new things that they've gotten there. So they got the sign for the garden, and they've been working on the gardens for Samantha's garden, which of course was Samantha Baumgartner. So they have that. I know they had something else new that I forgot what she told me. What else? And then there's also the barn, I believe, is actually having an anniversary this year. So I think they're going to be doing something with regards to that. So definitely get out there and support those three. There's actually obviously more, but those three things going on in our city. I think you'll enjoy them, and it's just a good time for all and great organizations that help our community. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
Few things. The Friends of Fraser Library will be having their used book sale at the Fraser Lions Club, April 16th from 12 to 4, April 17th from 10 to 5, and April 18th from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. VFW, they will have their monthly spaghetti dinner on April 24th from 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is $12 per person. The Baumgartner House will have their garden cleanup on May 4th at 11 a.m. They are looking for volunteers to come and help clean up the gardens there. And then the Fraser Fame Awards are scheduled for May 13th, 2024. Tickets are on sale. That's at 5:30. If you're interested in attending, you can email events@erchamber.com. I got my tickets today, so I know myself and the mayor will be there, but it's always a good time to recognize those in the community who've made a significant contribution over the last year.
Councilmember Odell.
Had the pleasure with Councilwoman Stein and Councilwoman Sutherland to meet with a local Cub Scout troop last month at Salka Elementary. They asked lots of great questions about government and how things work, and I was thoroughly impressed with the amount of knowledge that they had and the questions that they had, better than many of the adults out there. They understood government very well. So I just want to appreciate them for inviting us to give our knowledge and hopefully teach them a few things, and they taught us a few things, and they were a great bunch of kids. But other than that, I do not have anything else.
Okay, I've got a couple things. One of the things in our consent agenda tonight was the Planning and Zoning Annual Report. Now, that may sound boring, but what it represents is a lot of work by our Planning Commission, our Zoning Board of Appeals, our Building Department, our planner, McKenna, and I'd like to take an opportunity to thank, we've been busy in the past couple years. Fairway Packing, Carmela Foods, Devon Storage. In my short time on Zoning Board of Appeals, we saw some development. But I would like to thank them for their time and energy. They're very knowledgeable, and last but not least, he's probably tired of hearing it, but we lost Mark Stimick, who was on our board. We didn't lose him literally. He retired after, I think, 40 years of service to the city as a volunteer. And that knowledge is irreplaceable. But we are appreciative of the fact that he passed as much as he could on to a lot of other people. So I just want to take that opportunity to say thank you to those folks that do some heavy lifting and aren't always acknowledged or appreciated for, even if we don't agree with them all the time. And they make decisions that may not be consistent with the way everybody thinks. They do try. They actually put their heart and souls into it. So thank you. On the Steffens Park renovations, I would like to advocate to have a plan. One of the things we learned in McKinley Park is you can't change a blank sheet of paper. We have a park, but is that what we want to end up with 3 years from now? Or are we simply going to replace things? What are we looking at so that we know when we get done 3 years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, that we succeeded? And right now, I don't think we're quite ready to make long-term drastic changes. There's things we can do like the baseball diamonds and improve those kind of things that aren't moving, but I'd really like to look at the rest of it as well, as a comprehensive plan. Appreciate that we're having a park cleanup. I would also like to see someday that we do an electronics recycling day and a shredding at City Hall. I can clean out my basement finally and get rid of that Pioneer stereo from 1978. But I think that would be useful to the public, especially shredding. There's always a lot of paperwork, and we don't want to put those in the recycling bin. Budget workshop, we'll see everybody there. Come with your questions. I'm probably not going to see a lot of people in the audience here, but please reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. And last but not least, sheets on 425. If you please show up if you have questions or comments to them. That's your opportunity to meet with, I guess, actual representatives. They had a meeting like this in Madison Heights a couple weeks ago. I didn't attend, but it was probably the same thing. You may see a flyer in your mailbox inviting you. So with that, that's all I have. And now we will turn it to the citizen participation time of our meeting. Mr. Brannon, please pop up. Please come on up. State your name, and this part of the meeting has 5 minutes.
Correct.
It is part for everyone, so.
Robert Brandon, 31139 Eastwind Drive, Fraser, Michigan. Also 32995 Garfield, Fraser, right across from City Hall.
Robert Durham, 32995 Garfield, right across the street from City Hall. The Macomb Wildcats and Juggernaut Skids building.
The reason why they're here with you this evening is we have worked with and talked with former Parks and Recreation Director who his employment terminated with you, and we had thought a plan was outlined and detailed and sent to the city manager, to the city clerk to be put onto the agenda. We found out that it wasn't. We came back into City Hall, had a one lengthy conversation with your new Parks and Rec director, who wrote down his email address as his name, recreation@FraserMI, and I can show you the piece of paper that he put it on, because he didn't have a business card, which is unprofessional. When you hire an employee, immediately get them a business card. So we go through, we meet with them, we think we're gonna be on the agenda. I contact City Hall, leave 2 messages, no answer, then finally got a response back. We didn't receive your information. I said, Mary, which works for Cindy, said to send it to Recreation. We did not get a non-flag function that the email did not go to Recreation by the way that the email was written. I can show you proof of that. So I emailed a couple of you. I CC'd the city manager. She said, what is your outline of your plan? I said, our outline of our plan is in the letter. She then repeated back, it's different than what we had thought it was. Well, we couldn't wait on the City of Fraser's timeline. We had to wait on National Football Organization timelines that we had to apply to make sure that we were on schedule. So we made those changes. We also worked with Fraser Schools, who could not commit, even though we were going to take a very large check to them to allow us to use field time. So we've since left Fraser Schools, and we now are using a St. Clair Shores school, and we're writing them a very large check, and they are happy to take it. But our organization basically wants proof from you, giving us proof to use Steffens Park, which we know will have to go on another agenda, but we want to practice football in your park. Down the road, we want to help put a professional turf field on your park at our dime, not at your dime. We work with a large number of nonprofit groups and a large number of major corporations who will be helping to see that through. So we are signed on with the ESFL, which is designed to improve development and capabilities of individuals. We're asking to use the field starting on 6/17. The Parks and Rec director told us, well, it's an open field. It's public. I want to make sure that you're aware that we're using it. I want to make sure that you're aware that we're insuring ourselves to use your field, not saying, hey, come out and use our field. You need to protect yourselves. So be careful of that. If other organizations are just coming to use your field with your permission granted, you're the one going to be sued when a kid gets hurt. So we'd like to use those fields from 6/17 to 11/1. Extra time in November if we make it to the playoffs, which our hope is that we will. Weekly schedule Monday through Friday from 5 to 9, 5:30 to 7:30 practices during school, 5:30 to 8:30 practices when not school. During the month of July, we'd like to add Saturdays from 11 to 2, and we just want a small section, which is the size of a football field, on the far end of the field, so it would be the far end. We've attached a copy of our state filed incorporation license. We've attached a copy of our insurance, which we will add the City of Fraser as a secondary so that you are aware that we have that. And we have our signed information from ESFL. So we are all on board, and we already are committed to playing at the Big House, so we will be playing a football game at U of M representing our community. I just want you to be aware that we are going to come back to you again once we're on the agenda. And all agenda items in the future should never go to a department head. They should always go to your clerk. That is who makes your agenda, correct?
No, the city manager.
Each department head?
City manager.
So why would I be directed to go to a department head to have an agenda item placed on? I should have been directed to you.
Department heads work on their information. This, for your clarity, is department heads work on their information. Things get submitted from a variety of sources. They funnel to me, and I'm the one that ultimately puts together the agenda. I work with the mayor on the draft agenda, get it out to council, and then, even council members provide information that, for items that they want to see on the agenda. We go from there.
So I would like that on record. Do you want me to send any further communication to a department head versus sending it to you if I want to be on an agenda? Because I will be CCing everyone, and if there's a fall through again.
I would like you to send it to the following email, CITYMANAGER @micityofFraser.com.
Thank you.
And that would be, and that way it's going to the, I know, I'm just spelling it out because there's,
Got it. Problem.
Our email is a little bit long and difficult to make sure you spell right. but I
And you
gave
guys
the-
always, you all have a name in your email. His email is just recreation. He has no name in his email. That was the reason why I did not connect that there would be a bounce back. So I just wanted to bring that to you. So we will come back, but I would, just to let you know, we've been told that we can use the field. We are going to make sure that you're insured. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else would like to speak? Just come on up first. There's two people you guys figure it out. You're each going to get an opportunity, so.
Good evening, council members. My name is Luxio Leon Onyx. I live at 16891 General Avenue in Fraser. And here's another message. We need to see and understand the truth. Capitalism cannot live without disproportionately affecting black and brown lives and displacing them under the rubble and away from their families. We give and pocket this blood-soaked dollar all the time, passing and prolonging this indigenous ancestral pain back and forth for our own benefits. Is this realization enough for you to care now? The workforce doesn't truly benefit us anymore anyway. We are only working hard to please the rich and powerful above us. Wasted years of never seeing family or friends enough, just so every CEO can do so easily, while we get yelled at for wanting more days off to just reconnect with ourselves and loved ones. This is all by a systematic design, keeping us all divided and isolated so we can never unite against our one common enemy, our government. Past leaders who have tried to unite us all, like MLK and the Black Panthers, have been assassinated by our government because they fear unity. So I'm speaking up from the heart tonight because it's 2024 and white supremacy and class war are still at large. Only one side is truly benefiting right now, the rich and white. How much more division, wars, empty promises, genocides, underpayment can we take? Can you even boycott Starbucks and McDonald's to save someone's life in Palestine? How corrupt have you become from all this greed and misery? Why do white feelings of uncomfortability toward genocide matter more than black and brown feelings? Why must the youth keep explaining to the adults how benefiting from genocide and war is wrong? How can you look a marginalized person in the face and say you care, especially as a person of power? Are you a person of only white power? Would you like to prove to us how you're not like our slave-owning ancestors? Be like Sterling Heights now and pass a ceasefire resolution for Palestine. Say how you want to end the military and financial aid distribution to Israel. Say how you don't agree with our tax dollars funding ethnic cleansing. It would show how even this small town is no longer complicit in genocide. America is still stuck in the 50s, because why is even abortion still up for debate? Why are gay, trans, and women's rights still up for debate? Palestine is severely interconnected with all of these struggles. We are just like them, wanting to be freed from corporate greed, wanting to make our own choices with our bodies, and wanting actual world peace and the dismantling of white supremacy. My generation will either way help bring in a new world order that will truly benefit everyone of class and race. No more billionaires, no more division, more community, reparations, and indigenous ancestral healing. We will keep on fighting with our inner child hearts, and death doesn't scare us. We will die trying, if need be, with our kafayas from Turtle Island to Palestine. Also, I would like to mention, as he was a Fraser alumni, rest in peace, Stagey Olojo. This big speech is for your soul as well. May Fraser remember you as a joyful person who deserved to live. May we continue to be kind and loving towards one another, no matter how long it's been. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else? Yes, I think back there.
Good evening, council, clerk, manager, attorney. My name is Rola Zarifi. I live at 32574 Heisner, and I recently applied for the clerk position, and I would like you to consider me for the opportunity. And I wanted to come here and introduce myself because I realized I don't know many of you, and it would be really good to get to know you. And if you have any questions, you guys get to know me too. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, at this part of the meeting, we're here to listen to you.
Oh.
We don't generally answer questions, other than provide
Oh.
an email address or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, I will provide an updated resume and references if I get the opportunity to interview.
Oh,
So.
send them over.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other members of the audience like to speak? Please. Name? Thank you.
My name is Aish Kukani. I live in 33462 Royal Park. I am a Palestinian American who has lived in the city of Fraser for about a decade now. And I first want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak here today. I just want to express why it is important for the city of Fraser to show solidarity with the Palestinian people and why the city of Fraser needs to call for a ceasefire on a humanitarian base. So first and foremost, Israel is committing a genocide and the situation is only worsening. About 35,000 Palestinians have been murdered in the last 6 months. Over 80,000 Palestinians have been injured in the last 6 months. 1.5 million people in Gaza have been displaced in 6 months. And a third of Gaza's children are severely malnourished, and every hospital in Gaza has been attacked. This is a humanitarian crisis that demands immediate action. And based on the laws and the constitutions of the United States, the U.S. should not be a part of this. We should not be a part of this. We should not be involved in a genocide. So I think we can all agree that the city of Fraser is an overall safe community and that the needs of the citizens are always talked about and put first. So by adapting to a ceasefire resolution, we are sending a message not only to the United States government, but worldwide that Fraser is a humane community. So tens of cities nationwide adapted to this resolution, including the largest city in Macomb County, which is the city of Warren. So we call for the city of Fraser's city council. We urge you guys as our elected officials to push for a ceasefire. The human cost of this genocide is simply too high, and we must act now to protect the innocent lives and prevent further suffering. Many of you have stayed true to your obligations in the election, racist speeches, and public events through upholding the law, transparency, and human rights. So now it's time to hold you accountable for what you promised us during the election. Your decision today will impact people's feelings, so do not disappoint us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other members of the audience like to speak? Please.
Good evening. My name is Jananch Kokani. I live in 33462 Royal Park Drive. I am here to discuss the urgent need for a ceasefire in Palestine. Fraser is a city that values peace and justice, so ignoring the suffering of innocent civilians in Gaza is immoral and inhumane. Every bomb that is dropped on Gaza, every child that is killed, and every innocent person that is injured will deepen the cycle of violence. It is time to recognize all of the innocent lives that were shattered from this ongoing genocide. A ceasefire will not show weakness. In fact, it will show a courageous step towards ending violence and building trust for the citizens in Gaza. I, as a civilian of Fraser, urge you to call for a ceasefire and end this violence and show others that Fraser stands with Palestine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's one more, or at least, yes, you.
Hi, my name is Kira Taylor Elms. I'm actually a Troy resident. I came here for this meeting today. Address 2824 Winter Drive, 48083. I hope you're all well today. Thank you for listening to me and us. I'm speaking today to bring awareness to the ongoing genocide in Palestine and to share about how you, council, can help slow this mass death being carried out with our own tax dollars. Since October 7th and after, over 34,000 Palestinians have been murdered by Israel's government and military under the, and I quote, excuse of self-defense. This includes over 13,000 children who could not even have defended themselves from the bombs, bullets, disease, and intentional starvation that took their lives. As we see more and more Palestinians die as everyone in Israel lives on and the country faces little to no repercussions for their mass killings, we must acknowledge that this has become a genocide and ethnic cleansing, not a conflict and not a war. The news flashed worldwide after Hamas's attack on October 7th, but never flashed for all the years Israel had been segregating, displacing, starving, and killing the Palestinian people before, since 1948, with almost no repercussions. While Israel has systematically been harming and killing many and many more Palestinians than Palestinians have to Israeli for 75 years, much of the world, particularly those with political power, still believe that Israel's actions are justifiable and that they should still be an ally to the U.S. On that note, I'd also like to speak on AIPAC, which is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC is a lobbying committee that gives many U.S. politicians money to help their political campaigns in exchange for their support of the State of Israel. These people that are supposed to work for us are receiving money from those more rich and more powerful than us to spread their influence. It's estimated that over 60% of Americans want a ceasefire, while only 11% of people on Congress do, which is not representative of the people they're supposed to be representing. Just one example, my District 11 Representative Haley Stevens in Troy has received over $3 million from AIPAC and consistently votes and acts in favor of Israel, even voting to send our tax dollars to the country as aid. Haley has consistently not acted on and even argued with our repeated calls, texts, social media tags, and in-person questions to her regarding her stance against Palestine, her morals, and the genuinity of her alliance to her own constituents. The complicity and aid in this genocide on Palestine does not only exist in Israel, it too exists and is funded by many here in America and encouraged by many more representatives than just my Haley Stevens. Beyond just one AIPAC paid representative, though, the U.S. repeatedly sends our tax money as well as American-made weapons to Israel. Around $3.5 billion of military aid from the U.S. is sent to Israel every year. Additionally, around $500 million is reserved annually for Israel in U.S. defense programs to collaborate on weapon creation. In Fraser, $231,850 has gone towards weapons for Israel, which could instead go to fixing the roads and replacing those gas lines and the fuel monitoring, among other issues. I'm sure many of this feels unrelated to the Fraser City government and this City Hall meeting, but because of this, I would love to connect the importance and a positive influence that a ceasefire resolution from Fraser could have in Fraser and beyond. Many Michigan cities have passed ceasefire resolutions detailing their condemnation of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, their support for increased humanitarian aid to Palestinians, and desire for overall peace through a bilateral and permanent ceasefire. By passing a ceasefire resolution, this council would be standing for world peace, diversity, and justice for those oppressed. The ceasefire resolution would send a message to Michigan's leaders that people stand for these exact things: peace, diversity, liberation. As many representatives continue to ignore us, you could represent us and be our voice as we speak up for those dying and suffering. Many years from now, I believe the world will condemn Israel's actions as valuing the lives of oppressed peoples hopefully becomes increasingly important in this world. In Fraser, you could stand on the right side of history with a ceasefire resolution. I'm glad to talk with any of you on this council or anyone else listening in this room if you have any questions, concerns, or want to kindly debate in council. I and others are glad to speak to you further on this and even work with you. Okay, gotcha, thank you. Lastly, my words here probably seem controversial, but I would truly like to encourage people to reflect on what we have been taught to think terrorism is and isn't, and what races is commonly believed where terrorism comes from versus what self-defense is, and what races can commit terribly violent acts and get away with them being described as merely self-defense. And I encourage this reflection because Palestinian and other systematically oppressed lives are at stake as we speak, and more people in America must take more action in order for our country to stop using our own money to continue this genocide. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Briefly, you only get usually one time. No, that's fine. You're new. You're new to the center table. Go ahead.
I'm also a Lebanese American.
Okay.
And I just want to say that I'm for America first.
Okay.
And I respect what these people are doing here today. I'm a Fraser resident, but I'm America first. If what happened on October 7th happened in the U.S., okay, we would be doing the same thing as Israel would be doing to protect our people and to protect our kids in this nation. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
I'm America first, and everyone living here should be America first.
Okay, thank you. One more, or at least you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shireen Shukakani. I stay in Sterling Heights, but I was born in Macomb Community, or within Macomb County, and I was actually raised in Fraser. I went to Eisenhower Elementary, Richard Middle School, and graduated at Fraser High School in 2016 as the co-valedictorian. But one important call I feel is necessary to make is I was raised by 2 Palestinian refugees within their own country. I know some of you might be sighing at this point. Why does she have to bring this up? I like to start with going back to 75 years ago, not October 7th. But in short, my grandparents on both sides of my family faced occupation and apartheid. My very own grandfather was from Lid, which is currently known as Israel, had to flee on with his 2 feet, by himself, with his family, went to Gaza, and now they're based out in the West Bank. Okay, so like I said, it wasn't just from October 7th. It's been way over 75 years. I stand here today to make a clear statement that what's happening in Palestine from Land 48 to the West Bank to Gaza is nothing clear but a genocide. It's not a war over religion. It's not a war over politics. It's a war over ethnic cleansing. You've seen the targeted hospitals. You've seen the targeted mosques. You've seen the targeted churches. Why now is it that we have to argue when even the International Court of Justice deemed what is happening in Palestine is plausible of genocide? Now you're all probably wondering, why do we have to bring this up today in Fraser, a city that's 5,000 miles away from the atrocities? I'm not bringing this up because my baby cousin was murdered for denial of medical treatment by the Israeli military in Gaza, or that I found that I lost family members from an airstrike through the news, not over the phone because we can't even reach them with any connection. I bring this up because for those who don't know, the United States is funding this genocide. While we're airdropping breadcrumbs over Palestinians, we're simultaneously dropping bombs on them. We're not funding millions, we're funding billions of our tax dollars, but we're sitting here wondering how can we start funding certain things that we can fix for our very own city when our own very tax dollars are funding this genocide. I repeat, we fund billions of our tax dollars, not just millions, while our roads have 5-foot-long potholes and we have over 6 million people homeless in the United States. So why is it that I stand here today and ask you guys to consider to talk about this in any sort of form? Detroit was the first largest city to call for a ceasefire in the United States. So why does it hurt so many people to bring some sort of serious discussion about this? This is a reminder that there are many people in the city of Fraser directly impacted from this occupation. There's no need to look at it from a religious or political or a racist standpoint, because it should simply be looked at from a human rights standpoint. We should be demanding for immediate ceasefire and to end complete military aid to the Israeli occupation forces and focus on America first. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Ahmed Koukani, and I am here to ask for a ceasefire in Palestine. I'm a junior in Fraser High School. My heart breaks for all the kids my age in Palestine who are suffering. Fraser is a city that has many identities, including many Palestinian Americans, including myself. As our representatives, I urge you to think of every person you represent, whatever race they are, ethnicity, or religion. Thank you. Free Palestine. And also, I just want to let you know that this did not start on October 7th. It started 75 years ago. I'm not trying to argue with anybody, but it didn't start on October 7th, and you really have to know how it started. Thank you. Have a good day.
You address us. We don't have a back and forth between.
Okay. Yeah.
the audience. You want that? You can take that out.
Okay. All right. Have a good day.
But thank you for your comments. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Oh, yes, please hurry. Yep, almost. Yes.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Shukani. I live at 33462 Royal Park Drive. I've been a resident of Fraser for almost a decade now. I don't have a lot to add that all of these wonderful people didn't already say, but I just wanted to add that the U.S. is a melting pot of people who come from all over the world to come live here, including our parents, grandparents, and Fraser is no exception. We live 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from Detroit, Dearborn, 2 cities that have some of the highest Arab American populations in the entire country. So I know sometimes it feels like we're really far away and disconnected from what's going on in other parts of the world, but I just want to remind you guys that we're all here together for the same cause, and calling for a ceasefire isn't political. It's not about race or religion. It's about human rights. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second?
I've already done.
All in favor? To adjourn?
I tried.
All in favor of adjourning at
Aye.
8:39 PM? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.